I've heard that the Temple Mount is actually prohibited to go up to. It's completely asur according to halacha. All the great rabbis say you're not allowed to go. And the truth is, isn't it closed anyways? Hold on one second. Now let's get into a topic I like to call why not? Why don't go up to Har HaBayit? Why have we heard so many negative things about going up to the Temple Mount? So I'm going to try and make this concise, although it's a way bigger topic. It goes like this. Let's go with the history. Throughout thousands of years, Jews did whatever they could since the destruction of the Second Temple to try and reach the Temple Mount. We have great rabbis and sages that have gone up to the Temple Mount after the destruction. For example, like the Rambam. And the truth is the rabbis weren't discussing, are you allowed to go up or not allowed to go up? They discussed, if you're pure, what areas can you go up? And how does one get pure? And those were always the discussions. The problem is, when the Crusaders took over, they stopped allowing Jews to go on the Temple Mount. When the Ottomans took over, we're talking in the 15th, 16th century, they continued this ban on Jews going to the Temple Mount. And so instead of debating where, how, exactly what to do, Jews stopped going up. And because we stopped going up, it began to be, we needed a replacement. And so we replaced going up to the Temple Mount because we weren't allowed to, because they didn't let us, with going to the Western Wall. A few hundred years ago, we started going to the Western Wall instead of going to the Temple Mount. And this was the de facto. And we started losing our ability to know where is it allowed, where is it not allowed, because nobody went. And everything changes in 1967 when the paratroopers in the Six-Day War take over the Temple Mount. Har HaBayit bi'adenu. And then the question began, should we just go? And people would go up like it was a national park. They would do picnics up there. Nobody was going up in purity. Nobody cared where it's allowed, where it's not allowed. And people were roaming and getting big punishments of karet, spiritual circumcision, whatever that means. And it was a big deal. So the rabbis got up and said, no. No more, not allowed to go up to Har HaBayit because it's just not worth it to go improperly. And many of the rabbis, the great rabbis of the time, took that stance of no going up. And many rabbis still have that stance today. So what changed? Well, after many years of owning the Temple Mount and Jews coming back to the Temple Mount in purity, we started to get a better idea where we're allowed to go and where we're not allowed to go. Because it was very clear for many, many years, for thousands of years, it was very clear that the Dome of the Rock, which stood on the Holy of Holies, where the temple once was, is the exact same place. The Dome of the Rock is actually the rock where the Holy Aron, the Holy Ark, stood in the Holy of Holies. And if that is the place of the Holy of Holies, which the Radbaz says there is no doubt about, we have a clear tradition, and the Arabs actually kept the holy place, calling it the Dome of the Rock, then we know this map right over here. This map shows us exactly the areas that are not allowed for a tameh mate, somebody who has been in contact with a dead body, which nowadays is all of us, and you need a red heifer to be able to purify ourselves from, cannot go into these areas right over here. So if we know where these areas are, and for decades, people have started to go up and actually investigate where exactly those lines are, we can know that when we go up to the Temple Mount, we are actually avoiding any areas that the great rabbis who were so scared that we would get close to these areas that are prohibited, we are making sure not to get even close. So what does that look like, guys? It looks like this. You go in from the Western Wall, you go around over here, nowhere near the prohibited areas, coming over here only after dipping in the mikvah. You can do all of these things because the Temple Mount still has purity, even if you're not going into these areas. Of course, we're not allowed to, and we continue around, staying far away from any prohibited areas. And so therefore, many, many rabbis today will say, since we know where you're allowed to go, where you're not allowed to go, since we trust people that they will go up in purity, just like in the times of the temple, we trusted people to know the laws of purity, to dip in the mikvah, to go in the right areas. Not only is it not prohibited, it is a great mitzvah to go search out Hashem and prepare the groundwork for building the third temple. I'll see you guys there.